Before I knew the world was ending, I was a king. Now they call me the Shipwright. After nearly a century, the task I was given is almost complete. This is my last chance to save whoever would join us, to salvage whatever knowledge I can, to help us rebuild. But the gods rule here, and they never do things the easy way.
There's a particular kind of pain that you experience when you've done the audio for an entire video, only to realize that you had not hit record. So what you're hearing is take 2. It's not unlike realizing after your computer crashes that you hadn't saved your image for a very, very long time. Hopefully, the second version of this recording benefits from the same thing that the second version of an unsaved image benefits from, which is that it's a little bit more focused and a little bit more polished, but we'll see. I don't plan on doing this twice every time, so if it ends up working out better, I'm just going to ignore that. So for this image, one thing I always find funny is the negotiation between your past and present self, especially the difference between your thumbnail and your finished image. It represents the battle between your intentions and the realities of actually finishing something. So you probably saw this image nestled into the intro. I decided to make some new images for it. They serve as an introduction to new viewers, but also as just a high-level refresher of what the project is about, to put whatever follows in context. The previous 2 images were on the more complex side, and so I thought I would give myself a bit of a break by creating an image with a more straightforward composition. And really, that should have been the case. It's a very symmetrical shot, in profile, with layers. Should have been easy. I can look back at my past self drawing that thumbnail and say, thanks for the attempt. What was so complex about it? Okay, an example would be, the shipwright is standing on some beams, shading his eyes as he looks up above. Pretty simple pose, nothing overly crazy about it. But at the angle that I chose, we're looking up at him slightly, which meant that mentally I had to be drawing him in perspective, more from below. Not a lot from below, but a little enough that it was going to make an impact. To get it to feel right required a lot more thought than I was anticipating. But it got me thinking about something from the creation of the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They talk about the idea of bumping the lamp. There's a scene where Roger bumps his head into a lamp and it begins to swing. So they animated the shadows moving back and forth on Roger as he's moving around the room. It added so much complication. And the obvious thought would be, just don't bump the lamp. Make your life easier on yourself. But that extra effort grounded the character in the scene in a way that was undeniable. That extra effort led to such a huge bump in quality. It was worth doing. So it became a mantra of going the extra mile. Bump the lamp. Take the time. Do the thing that adds that extra bit of quality. Now I have to measure that against this being a project that I want to finish someday. It's currently a side project. I don't get a ton of time to work on it. I want to finish. But at the same time, just being finished isn't enough. I want this project to be an artifact. I want it to be something worth having on your shelf, and that requires quality, which requires bumping the lamp. It requires taking the time to do a little bit extra. So it's a balancing act. How can I do just a little bit more that actually contributes in a meaningful way to things overall without getting lost in the weeds of detail? But for this shot, I gave myself some extra room for quality because I know I want this to be used in the intro. It means it's going to be one of the first things that a lot of people see from this project. And for anyone who's a regular viewer, they're going to see it probably every time from here on out, at least until I create a new intro. So if I'm going to spend a little bit more of that effort, this is where it's going to be spent. So I took the extra time to try to figure out the pose for the shipwright. Then came the ship and the scaffolding. I want the ship itself to be kind of a work of art, as well as the scaffolding around it. You could say, hey, this is way too complex for something that's meant to just be practical. But from a storytelling perspective, I think that says a lot about who my protagonist is. If he's going to do anything, he's going to do it right. And he's going to do it beautifully. I also wanted to imply that even just simple scaffolding is actually very well made. Not just artfully, but structurally as well. I picture the early stages of this project would have involved a lot more people. The subjects of his kingdom, many of which would have been recruited and well paid to help out. He cares about his people, so if they have to go high up into this new project, he's thinking about their safety. I also wanted to imply sturdiness for later. As the water level rises in this valley and begins to raise the ship, I was thinking of these scaffolds holding the vessel in place as it rises. keeping it from being buffeted against the hills or any other things that you don't want to smash into. Think of it almost like a floating dock that's held in place by loops on posts. It's able to rise and fall with the tides. It's just in this case, imagine the tide keeps rising, and eventually the dock leaves its posts. Now, I really like the idea of a domesticated Stegosaurus beast of burden, something colossal with intimidating defenses, but with the gentle disposition of a rhinoceros. Accompanied by his own sheepdog, Japheth leads it easily with a very light rope. Its spines act as the perfect perch for some of the many pairs of animals that have begun to arrive. Finally, a note on color. This composition was intended to be somewhat simple. Now, I went a bit crazy on detail, but the composition still remains simple. I wanted the background to be filled entirely with a close-up of the ship, mostly just to sell the scale. So to bring some life to the shot, I added a sunset gradient to beautify it overall and imply that this is the end of the day, which means that Stegosaurus is probably carrying its last load before turning in. As a finishing touch, I added some simple parallaxing motion to it, just to simulate a slow tracking shot. This helps to imply more depth. And who knows, maybe this helps to inspire someone who's really looking for an animation project to fund. The next shot for the intro is going to be very character focused. So if you're interested in that, tune in next week. The shot of the Shipwright's project took a lot more time than I was expecting. So for the story itself, I have 2 more panels rather than a full page. But like I've said many times before, and I'm sure I'll say again, this is just about making progress. It's like filling up a bathtub a few drips at a time. I know it will fill, so every little bit I can move the needle forward, I'm happy. Besides, there's something worth talking about with these panels. On the art side of YouTube, there's a video that was recently popular about not drawing the thing, but drawing the effect of the thing, rather than focusing on just outlining everything almost like a blueprint. It's more about drawing the effect of the light, the feeling of texture on things. I will admit that's not my strong suit, but I would like to improve in that area. I don't think I did a great job of it here, but this is one of those cases of balancing out many areas where you'd like to grow. I also was looking at some Hal Foster art again from Prince Valiant and just marveling at his environments. The trees, his forests and landscapes, they're just beautifully drawn. Deceptively simple, or you can say more with less. It was convicting because my tendency is to rush through foliage, to indicate it quickly and move on to other things. But really, one element in all of the projects that I admire is that the artists actually take their time and draw everything with care. Not just the stuff you can tell they love drawing the most. Quality is great, but consistent quality is better. So for these shots, while I think I could indicate the effect of vegetation more than the literal leaf-by-leaf drawing, these were also an attempt to take a little bit more time, to enjoy the process a little bit more, to give them a little bit more love, to enjoy almost the graphic design of vegetation. And while I think it can be better, and we'll see how things go over the next few pages, I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I like this drawing of Bastion jumping off the edge. He's a courageous dog, and he didn't hesitate, but he's still not exactly happy about having to do this. While we let this play out, like the video, subscribe, add a comment, you know, all the YouTube stuff. I usually post the images from these videos on my Instagram and X accounts, where I've also been posting weekly shots from Tellurian. If you want to play a part in helping me turn this project into more of a real thing, you can become a YouTube member or sign up on Patreon, which you can do for free. There are some lower tier subscriptions. Higher tier members get access to a private server where a lot of very creative people have started to gather, sharing their work, talking about stories, just acting like nerds. It's starting to get busy enough now that I sometimes can't keep track of everything that's going on, which I think is a good sign. If you'd like to support what I'm doing, but you'd also like to have some art on your shelves, you could pick up my art book or my previous book, Tellurian, which is like a silent animated film in book form. Oh, also, it's been very humbling. People have been making fan art for this project. It's awesome. And so far, it's been very on point. Like, people get what this project is about, and that's very encouraging for me. But if you'd like to send me some of it, I'd love to feature it in the credits of the videos, so send it my way somehow. People get it to me. I don't know exactly how. We don't have an official pathway yet, but send me the art and the name you'd like me to use to give you credit, because I love being able to show that stuff off. It's really, really awesome. A note on color. As much as possible, I want each episode to have some color variation. I want you to be able to tell things are changing from page to page. And one of the ways I've done that already is to think about the changing time of day. At the beginning of this episode, you could tell the sun was about to rise, and here, it's risen in earnest. It doesn't always work. Sometimes the story requires you to stay in one spot for quite a while, like the previous episode with the dragon, where they spent many pages in a foggy nighttime forest. But wherever there is an opportunity, I'm going to try to use light and color to imply that time is passing. Thanks for watching.